Kevin Glenn and the Calgary Stampeders had its four-game win streak snapped last week by the BC Lions. Close game decided by 4 points. If it's close tonight, it comes down to a field goal advantage Calgary. And Brian Williams is here now to tell us why. Hi, Brian.
Hi, David. There's no question there'll be a lot of attention focused tonight on Calgary kicker Rene Paredes. He is 38 for 38 in field goals, which is the modern CFL record. Now, this is an interesting story. Paredes, his teammate in Calgary, the punter Rob Maver, kicker Chris Milo in Regina, the veteran Paul McCallum in Vancouver, Sean White in Montreal. They've all been mentored and coached by a former CFL great, a man they respectfully refer to as the kicking whisperer.
From 21 yards out, and Rob Maver's missed again.
Calgary's Rob Maver will never forget Week 1 of 2011. When his career hit rock bottom.
3 misses in the game, clearly hampered by a quad problem.
Confidence was gone, and after that game, even though I was still on the roster and still a part of the team, I felt like it was outside looking in, and it was something I'd never experienced before.
Rene Paredes, who had recently been cut by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, took over Calgary's place-kicking duties. Things started well, but by season's end, the rookie was in the bottom half of the league when it came to field goal accuracy.
It was a tough thing.
Desperate for a solution, the Stampeders turned to a man who has a way of getting through to troubled kickers.
He was working with some kickers out in BC, and we worked out Warren Keane out there, and he was working with Don. And that was really when we first got a taste of the kicking whisperer, as we like to call him.
Remember now, you like doing this, you're good at this. Just make sure that you look back at the tee, that's all, right? Because you're not doing that. Remember how good you are at this, right? This is why you're doing this. You like doing this.
The kicking whisperer is Don Sweet, former CFL All-Star and 2-time Grey Cup champion.
The way he breaks it down as someone who's played the position and understands it from their perspective, he really relates that very well.
If a person had had a bad kick, I would say to them right off the bat, why is your next kick going to be your best kick? That negative is now gone, it's buried, and it's not there anymore. Oh, how is middle? We say adversity, builds character. Well, it does, if you can leave it behind you and move on.
Wow, that guy can coach.
Sweet is so respected among elite kickers that they will make repeated trips to BC in the off-season just to train with him.
When you get a kicker for the first time, what is the first step?
First thing I do is I talk with him, and I want to see if he's prepared to open himself up and say, okay, I'm willing to submit myself to you.
For established pros, that's not easy. Sweet's methodology is unorthodox. In Maver's case, Sweet added punting drills to his training, something Maver hadn't done since college.
I remember, the first 3 or 4 days I was out there hitting the ball maybe 15 to 20 yards. Like, it was awful.
It's a tough situation. I knew I had to get better.
Why he asks kickers to step out of their comfort zone, well, that's between only Sweet and his pupils.
I don't want this one on camera. This isn't for camera either. I don't want you to use this one. I don't want to tell what I do. My whole theory, in a nutshell, is to drive out the fear of failure.
Failure is something Sweet had to confront in his own career, and it happened on the CFL's biggest stage, the 1975 Grey Cup in Calgary. He missed a 19-yard field goal with less than a minute to go that would have won Montreal a second straight Grey Cup.
My reaction was I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that what happened that so quickly and it was over. And it was probably one of the lowest moments in my life at that time. I heard about, it cost me a jug of beer, it cost me $20, it cost me $100, all this kind of thing. And it was very difficult, probably more difficult on the family than it was on me, but we made it through, and it just made me work a little bit harder and make sure that I had a better year the following year.
That's an understatement. You set the record of 21 straight field goals. How were you able to accomplish that?
It's one thing to be disappointed, but don't be discouraged.
One day it just clicked all of a sudden. It was like the light bulb went off and then it shattered. I went from hitting 15-yard balls to, hitting the type of balls that I do now.
Rob Maver took over punting duties in Calgary.
And this one is just about perfect.
His His net punting average tied him for the season's best in the CFL.
Any amount of success that I've had in this league, I owe it entirely to him.
For the new record, Rene Paredes, 31 straight.
He's a great coach. He's by far the best coach I've ever had. Without him, I don't think I'll be at this point right now.
Rene Paredes hasn't missed a field goal all year and is now the all-time CFL record holder for consecutive field goals with 38 and counting.
He gave us a sheet and the things to remind ourselves, and that's something I read before every game, and it's like having Don right in the locker room.
And what are those reminders? You're not likely to find out from anyone who's been helped by the kicking whisperer.
Well, yeah, that's something, he told me to keep between us. I really don't want to say him.
Listen, I've known Don Sweet for decades, folks. I couldn't even beg him to give me one little secret. Sweet is part of a growing number of CFL veterans. This league has a long history. The veterans are now giving back to the modern-day players. And by the way, Sweet has a lot of respect for university coaches across the country developing talent. He works closely with people like Pat Sheehan, the head coach at Queens and Kingston, Jerry McGrath, the head coach at Concordia in Montreal, a former kicker, and Dave Sweet's former teammate with the Alouettes.
Great stuff as always, Brian. Thank you. Time now for the starting quarterbacks, brought to you by Wendy's. Ricky Ray got his first win as an Argonaut last season against the Stamps. Kevin Glenn 3-1 this season as the starter with Calgary.
Before I switched my team to Rogers, getting through to our communications provider wasn't easy.
Your call is important to us. Your estimated wait time is 15 minutes.
Only Rogers has Live Agent, so I can speak with a small business specialist right away. By phone, in store, or online.
Hi, this is Dave, your Rogers small business specialist.
Get back to business faster with Rogers Live Agent. Switch today and get double the data.
We fuel the future. We know what it takes to be the best.